Good evening, everyone. Be all of you welcome to our last webinar. Yeah, the last webinar of our summer webinar series. My name is Pamela Salazar, and I'm part of the administration team of this amazing and nice family. Well, more than a community, it's a family, English teachers in Peru. Well, thanks one more time for being here. And don't forget that we have our social network. You can follow us on Facebook. We have more than 20,000 members and 27 followers. Also on WhatsApp, there are more than 3,000 members. On Telegram, on YouTube, on TikTok, we are everywhere. So don't forget that we have this network to follow us or to be always connected with us, yeah? Well, remember that we have to follow some instructions, yeah, as in all the webinars. Let's see what they are. Okay, please don't forget that you have to type your questions in the comment sections, yeah? You can type, well, you know that sometimes you need some clarification. Well, try to type your questions or your doubts in the comment section. You have to wait, yeah, for the speaker to answer your questions, because they will be replied by our guest speaker at the end of the webinar in the question time section, yeah, at the end. Don't forget also that we have our exit ticket. The exit ticket will be shared when finishing the webinar. Yeah, you have to access to the exit ticket, and you will, and it will be available for 15 minutes. Today we have a special part. In the exit ticket, you will have to write a hidden word. That hidden word will be said by our speakers at the end of their presentation. The two first speakers are going to say a hidden word. They are going to repeat it, and you have to pay attention to that because it will be written in a part of our exit ticket. Yeah, well, they are our instructions. I hope that they are clear for you. And thanks once again for being here. Now it's time to know our speakers, and let's see who they are. Please, Miss Sulamita Shukdem, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Thank you, Pamela. It's a pleasure for me to introduce our first speaker for this webinar. This is Ralph Grayson. Ralph Grayson is Education Services Manager at the British Council in Peru. Since joining the British Council, he has managed the organization's portfolio of activity in support of education and bilingualism in Peru. As part of the bilingualism support activity, his management has worked closely with the Ministry of Education in strengthening teachers' English language skills, as well as their empowerment by improving their pedagogical strategies. Ralph Grayson has worked in the world of ELT for more than 30 years, leading innovation and change projects in areas such as program implementation, training, online teaching learning, among others. He is presenting the topic Continuous Professional Development, Finding New Ways of Teaching. Welcome, Ralph Grayson. We are ready.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Welcome everybody to this session. I hope you can see me well and that you can hear me well. Can you all hear me?
Yes, Ralph.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. I'm going to share my screen so that we can start. Let's see. Okay, I hope this works. Okay, there we go. Yes. Yes, so as it was mentioned a few minutes ago, yes, I have the pleasure to be with you this afternoon, this Saturday afternoon, to talk about continuous professional development, finding new ways of teaching. Yes, I'm Education Services Manager at the British Council, but I'm a teacher. You know, I'm a teacher by career. I'm a teacher, you know, at heart. Although right now I'm basically working on projects, and education projects, as it was mentioned, you know, with the Ministry of Education and with our global portfolio in the British Council, with projects such as Prelim, you know, that has to do with learning communities, teachers just like you, like yourselves, all around the world. It's a great job. It's a dream job in the sense that you get to work with wonderful people all around the world, and you get to be engaged with the best of English language teaching, not only in Peru, but also around the region, the Americas, and around the world. But what I like the most is that this job gives me the opportunity to showcase teachers in Peru. Your work is so valuable and so professionally done that it deserves to be shared with the rest of the world. And so through the programs that we run, like for example, New Ways of Teaching, which is something I will be talking about today, we do precisely that. We try to engage teachers with a bigger community, bigger than your community, bigger than your region, bigger than Peru. This has been a year where English, this program, New Ways of Teaching, has given several teachers in Peru the opportunity to join a global community where they have been able to share their experiences. Some of them are here today in the audience. Some of them, for example, participated in the recent BBuild conference, which was managed from our team in Mexico. And like this, there have been many opportunities to showcase, as I said, the valuable work that we do in Peru. And I'm glad to say that it's always really well regarded. It's always praised. You know, my colleagues and audiences, you know, from other countries that see the work that you do, they really amaze themselves at the work that's done in countries like in Peru, with so many challenges and so many, restrictions in terms of connectivity, in terms of accessibility, in terms of geographical distance, etc. So let's say today, what we would like to do is to provide you with, a range of resources for your continuing professional development. Every teacher, every one of us know how important it is to be updated, just like you're doing right now on a Saturday afternoon. You know, it's important to keep ourselves updated and to know what's going on in the world of teaching, to continue to learn, to develop our skills, to get better results with our learners. And New Ways of Teaching is the program that addresses that specific need. So as you can see, I've addressed both areas, right? Continuous professional development so far, and our program, New Ways of Teaching, because that's what the program does. It helps us find, investigate about new ways of teaching. But why do we need to find new ways of teaching? Well, as the invitation said, you know, recently, well, not recently, but for the past, let's say, 10, 20 years, we have noticed that there are global issues that are affecting education. Of course, they're affecting, of course, finance, they're affecting, equality, they're affecting health, but education is one of the areas that all these global issues are affecting. Most recently, for example, of course, the pandemic, but also the security issues around the world, conflict, and we're talking about security in general, not only conflict like what's happening in Ukraine, but for example, cybersecurity. We're talking about economy, global economy, and of course, all the consequences of global economy like poverty, unemployment, etc. Climate change, we've seen that happening. This year was the year of the COP, the conference, specifically targeting issues in climate change. And of course, problems that, or global issues that stand the test of time, like for example, hunger, and we keep battling inequalities. So one of these aspects, of course, was the pandemic, as I said, right? And you know that the British Council works based on research. Yes, our work does not just happen because it occurs to somebody that we are going to do something, but it's because there's research, there's analysis being done that help us craft our programs. One of them, for example, was this specific piece of research called Impact of Lessons Learned from School Closings in the Americas. The acronym for that is RASCRA, Research and Analysis of Schools Closures Response in Americas. This was a report of 2020, which was done together with the Barkay Foundation in the UK. And what it aimed to do is to survey different policymakers, teachers, teacher educators, on how our professional lives, I include myself, how our professional lives have been affected by the pandemic, and what kind of support they needed at the time. This, of course, now, if you look at it, it looks like way back in the past, right? So that, yeah, at the beginning, now you'll remember, yeah, at the beginning I needed support. Yeah, at the beginning was kind of chaotic, right? But anyway, that's a sample of the kind of work that we do in order to craft our programs. So this was an important one. You can download the research report and watch presentations of the findings of this report in our Americas website, which you can see on the screen. It's americas.britishcouncil.org/new ways of teaching with hyphens in between, right? Okay, so and the other one, of course, that you can see here on the screen is a report called New Ways of Teaching. Yes, those are that particular report wanted to look at the skills that teachers needed in order to teach in the new context, in the context of the of online education. This was carried out between 2020, 2021, together in partnership with ELT consultants. Again, if you are interested in that particular report, you can download it from the Americas website. Everything is completely free. These are just two pieces of work that help the British Council craft the work that we do, especially in terms of continuous professional development. Yes, this is the kind of input that we need to start exploring these new ways of teaching. What do teachers need? What are they looking for? what's their immediate need or what's their need also in the longer term. So it's all based on research. This is, for example, part of the results that we found in the RASCRA paper or report. And this is how teachers responded to the crisis. We mapped this in different countries, of course, in the Americas. And the way to make this information accessible for many teachers was to encapsulate this content, this research, which is several pages long, in bite-sized content. That's one of the first things that we needed to do. Yes, remember that in the what I mentioned a few minutes ago, in the context of low connectivity, we definitely had to think about different ways to deliver our message. So this is what we found, but no, of course, as I said, the report is very extensive. It's several pages and chapters and all that, and not everybody has the bandwidth, the connectivity to download and to read, etc. So one of the first things we did was that everything we included in our activity, we tried to reshape it in more manageable bits. Like, for example, these infographics that this particular example, for instance, show how teachers responded to the crisis. What skills do teachers need for remote teaching in vulnerable contexts, and that are part of the new profile of the teacher for the future. You know, these are strategies or skills that that are likely to stay with the teachers. We have already tried, and we had to do it because we were in an emergency in the pandemic. So they are very likely to have to stay with us, right? And this is the kind of information you will find in an infographic, like key information. Yes, like for example, 83% of teachers participated in training events. You know, that's one thing that they needed to do to respond to the crisis. They had to quickly go into training events. A small proportion, of course, did not need that, but 83% of the teachers had to go into training. For example, more than 50% of the teachers we surveyed, they took online courses. Yes, they had to take online courses to be ready to teach online. 28% had to attend presentations, like, for example, by experts in the UK or in the US or in other countries. Yes. And 20% created these spaces like the ones you're having to exchange views with other colleagues. You see how valuable that is? I think that that's probably one of the most valuable things that you're doing, exactly what you are doing, creating this sort of networks, you know, in Peru, in your region, to share your own knowledge, to share your own experiences. We can talk about that separately, but my personal view is that is a super powerful strategy that that you are implementing. Anyway, what else did we have to do? We also had a lot of content that contained data, and that data needed to be transferred to teachers. So how do we do that? Through videos. We call them video data. Yeah. So again, quick, small, manageable videos with data, yeah, that could help teachers and policymakers and school directors make decisions. Yes. Again, this was in response to the particular context in the Americas where connectivity is low, but the need for continuous professional development is very high. Yeah. So that's another kind of that's another change or adaptation we had to make. All that data that we had to segment it, pack it, repackage it, or republish it in manageable bits. Again, you can find samples of this video data that we shared in the Americas website of the British Council. Many of you joined us, of course, for the traditional webinars. Last year, we put together a series of webinars just like this, which, just for your knowledge, we match these webinars to global events. Yeah, for example, I'll give it a quick example. The one I remember the most is the COP. You know, for October last year, remember, it was a COP, the conference on climate action in the UK, in Scotland. So at the same time, our global team was launching a series of resources and a series of activities for teachers to implement in class to promote the inclusion of the topic of climate change in the lessons. Yes, we needed to promote the teachers, of course, raise awareness about these issues with their students. And the British Council and the UK in general promoted a lot of resources and webinars and activities for teachers to engage with and to engage their students. So in October, our webinar of that month was on climate change, for example. Yeah. So we did a series of 6 or 7 webinars, you know, one every month, every last Thursday of the month, except for Christmas, of course. We didn't want people to be training at Christmas. So we did 6 in 2021, and we did an additional one in 2022 in January, which was the, let's say, the preview webinar to the BBELT conference. BBELT is the best and brightest of in English language teaching. It was the biggest conference. And I'm glad to say that for the first time, 2 things. For the first time, we had teacher trainers from Peru representing us at regional level. And it was amazing. They were so amazingly welcome. They really, the audience really appreciated Peru's contribution to the conference. So we had about 4 or 5 speakers from Peru, and we would like to keep promoting that. So as I said, I really look for opportunities for you teachers, or Peruvian teachers, to shine out of Peru. Yes, that's really something I enjoy. Teachers from Peru joined BBELT, they showcased their work, and it was really amazing. Next year there will be another BBELT, and I will keep looking for more talent from you to be showcased at this international conferences. So as I was saying, prior to BBELT, we launched this series of webinars that match, of course, global activities that we were doing at the same time, right? And then, of course, these webinars and all our resources linked to our global portfolio, which is stored in Teaching English. Teaching English, remember, what you can see here and here that says Teaching English is teachingenglish.britishcouncil.org, is our hub for English teachers. That's our hub. Anything you want to find for free is in Teaching English, right? So a lot of the activities we did in New Ways of Teaching are linked to our global resources, our global program, Teaching English. Yes. Like, for example, Teaching Pathways, how to teach pronunciation. Teaching Pathways is part of a series of courses. Yeah. The courses run the whole year. It's a type of massive online open courses that are free of cost. What can have a cost is the certification. If you need a printed or let's say a physical certificate, of course, that has a cost. But the courses themselves are free. And many of them are mediated, which means that there is a person behind accompanying you, mediating the content of the course. There's how to teach pronunciation, how to deal with learning difficulties, how to do writing, how to teach speaking, how to manage lessons, etc., etc., etc. And they run the whole year. For example, one of the online events that was the most successful was this one, Gender in Language Education. But why do we talk about gender in language education? One of the things that we found from the RASCRA piece of research and our work, our previous work to designing our program, was that there were some topics hidden under the carpet, you know, in English language teaching. Topics that people did not talk about very frequently in online events or in continuous professional development. One of them, for example, was the topic of gender in English language education. And this was very challenging for me because in Peru, you know, education is basically a female-oriented profession. But that was precisely what we had to discuss. Why does education have to be a female, you know, a female-oriented profession? Why don't women have access to discuss? I mean, I'm talking about discussions we had, like, why don't women have more access to leadership roles in education, for example? Why don't men want to enter the English language education field? Why do kindergarten teachers have to be female? Why can't men be kindergarten education teachers? And things like this. So even though it seems like a normalized thing in many countries, it still brings a lot of discussion. So we said, gender needs to be in our program. And we invited experts from around the world, teachers who had been, these are not like experts like writers or scientists, you know, these are teachers that have had the experience of addressing gender issues in the classroom. So we said, hey, you had experience, come and tell us about it. Yes, and we had a teacher from Brazil, we had a teacher from India, etc., and they were all discussing these sort of topics that are necessary. And we always looked at this from the practical point of view. Yes, for example, from the materials. How do we tackle gender in the materials? Yes, how can teachers avoid being gender biased in their materials? You know, and these are some very practical tips, you know, like look at your textbook and see how many female, how many male pictures are there, you know, in a number of pages, and see if there is a balance. See, for example, what are the stereotypes? What are the stereotypes of gender in our materials? Do we always portray the teacher as a she, as a female teacher, or do you combine this between male, female teachers, you know. For example, names. Why are certain names, you know, attached to certain genders, you know? Or I'm not even, and of course there's also the issue of getting away from the male female dichotomy and go to other genders, people that prefer not to say their gender, for instance. So all these issues that are really current and that are sort of, as I said, under the carpet in education, especially in English language education, had to be in our program. And this was one of the most successful online events we had. From every event, as I said, because of connectivity, we noticed that some teachers could not join for all the event. They could not join for most of the event. They registered, so they had every intention to join the event, but in the end, they couldn't. And we didn't really want teachers to feel disappointed because their connectivity played tricks on them. We didn't want connectivity to be a barrier. So what we did is that thanks to the work of our editors, after each online event, we asked our editor to produce an infographic related to each of the online events with all the proceedings, all the tips, all the ideas, which can be accessed from a telephone. It can be downloaded to your computer. It works with low connectivity. You can use it for training. If you go to our America's website, you can easily use this material, you know, to train other teachers for a sort of cascade effect. So we provide teachers with a video, not only the live event, but if you go to the website, you will find the recording. If you are a trainer, you can watch the recording and you can cascade the information to your group of teachers using those materials, using the infographics as handouts. You can create your own your own worksheets based on this. So, so these are some of the things that we did to tackle the issue of connectivity, which, as you can see, is very critical in our country. Again, we need to mention that the training goes beyond, of course, these online events. Yes, there's plenty of training in teachingenglish.org.uk/training. You know, I already mentioned how to teach pronunciation. There's how to teach speaking, but here you have the link if you want to take notes or if you want to browse around and see what's available. Okay, more resources that we had to think about. Resources, as I said, in manageable bits. Yeah, we had to encapsulate the content, any content, in manageable bits. And so, for example, teachers needed tips, you know, but the type of information that teachers needed does not always need a 1-hour webinar. You can easily put the tips, you know, on a resource, on an easily accessible resource, and distribute it. Yeah. Here you have tips in PDF format, tips in video format, and you have a variety of topics. This does not necessarily mean it's a 1-hour webinar. Again, I'm repeating that again. But these are ideas, quick, practical ideas for specific topics. Like, for example, field trips. In our face-to-face education, we all had field trips. Yes, we used to take our students to the museum. We used to take the students to the market. We used to take the students here and there to practice the language, etc. But can you do virtual field trips? Okay, somebody did it. Somebody did it. Somebody around the world did it and put together a number of tips. So here's the tips. If you want to do a field trip, a virtual field trip, go to the website and you find out tips written by teachers who tried the activity. Yes. If you were concerned about mental health, yes, we all were overwhelmed, for instance, with online teaching. Yep. And we knew that teachers needed support. So we launched a series of tips on the topic of mental health for teachers. Not that we're all crazy, but I mean that we really needed support, didn't we? Yes, we were overwhelmed with the changes, the amount of work that we had to do, and we really needed to cope with a lot. Yes, not only our students, but also teachers. Yeah. And of course, if the teachers needed help structuring virtual classes, or if they were going, nuts with how do I make my students speak? So some quick tips that could help teachers, come out successfully in the classroom, display their work successfully in their classroom. So with this bite-sized content, we managed to achieve a lot. We managed to reach thousands and thousands of teachers who needed help in context of low resources, low connectivity. For other contexts, if you needed something a little bit more extensive, we also included podcasts. Podcasts are like radio conversations, radio shows, which you can listen live or stream live from your from a website, or you can also download them and listen to them later. Yes, we created again podcasts. Okay, podcasts are different from videos in the sense that they do not require so much bandwidth. So these podcasts were very much under the same conception as this tips, the bite-sized content, but a little bit more extensive. Sometimes podcasts were 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes long, right? But again, they were very interesting conversations with real teachers, real people who talked about their experience in, for example, inclusive education, how to tackle inclusive, how to make sure that all our students are included in a classroom. I have a teacher with dyslexia. I have a teacher with attention deficit disorder. I have a special education need in a group of students. I don't know. So how do I make sure that my lessons are inclusive? So we have a podcast for that. Yes. Education with equality, an important topic. How do policymakers ensure, for example, that education is managed with equality? We created a podcast for that. Yes. Many teachers were doing hybrid teaching, especially in these last months when teachers are doing face-to-face lessons, but also have to be ready for online lessons in case a COVID outbreak happens in school. So there's hybrid teaching. What happens in that case? How do I manage hybrid teaching? People are asking me to do hybrid teaching. How do I do that? Okay, there's a podcast from somebody who has managed successfully hybrid teaching successfully and who can give you all their ideas. Everything again is in the Americas website. So that's in general everything that's included in our program. So as you can see, finding new ways of teaching is not simple. It requires hard work, just like from teachers, real teachers like you. It requires organization. It requires research to find out what teachers need. What are the specific needs so that we can respond to that with the right tools, with the right content, in the right form. So just to summarize everything you've seen here, how do you access to all these opportunities? Well, you will find everything, again, I said, in the Americas website, but rather than you going to the website, the information, the website, let's say, can also go to you. If you sign up for our newsletter, you will be able to receive all this information. Of course, if you go to the website right now, you will find all these range of things. You will even find information about BBELT, the BBELT conference, which happened in February. Of course, that's where we will publish information about BBELT 2023, you know, when the time comes. But everything regarding new ways of teaching, you will find it in one central hub. You know, you go to the Americas website and it's clear. It says new ways of teaching. You open new ways of teaching and this whole world of professional development opens up to all our teachers. So what's next? What's possibly next? We are already looking at, of course, ways of doing things differently. When you hear Graham in a few minutes, when Graham joins us today, you will probably hear about some of the things that we are trying to learn from the 2021 lessons, okay? We had very positive experiences with teachers in the region, teachers from Cuba, teachers from Venezuela, teachers who really work in very difficult, very challenging contexts. And they have been using every tool that you can think of in order to deliver their work, using WhatsApp, using Telegram, using different platforms, alternative platforms. And so we have to learn from that. We have to learn from those lessons. Why do we do that? Because we need to keep strengthening CPD communities like this one, okay? The work that you've done in Tacna, in several other regions of Peru is amazing. Many teachers, and I'm proud to say that many of those teachers are former champion teachers of the British Council, have expanded their work in communities, in learning communities in the region. But as I said, my ultimate goal is that these communities expand globally and contribute to the biggest global community, sorry about the misprint, the biggest global community of teachers around the world. And that's why I really make an effort to showcase the work of Peru in all these opportunities that I see in my job. And we'll keep exploring ways to deliver content using low-tech resources, exactly like we did with the Raskra piece of research, with new ways of teaching piece of research, with other pieces of research that were local. Like, for example, there was a paper we produced where we assessed the impact of Aprendo en Casa in English, which we delivered to the Ministry of Education. All that information has been really valuable to craft the work that we do in Peru and in the Americas and globally. So we'll keep it, based on that type of work, we'll keep exploring ways to deliver content. That's what's next, right? It's not so much about, how to, the traditional ways of delivering continuous professional development face-to-face, but really to stream our work in ways that can be accessible to more and more teachers, and that more and more teachers join our community, and that, as I said, as the British Council, we have the largest community of teachers around the world. That's all I wanted to say to you by now. Thank you so very much. I'm open to questions or comments or anything that you would like to say about this, or if you have any questions, I'm glad to answer them for a few minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr., for sharing with us all this valuable information about events, courses, and resources that British Council in Peru offers in supporting English teachers in order to improve our pedagogical strategies and strengthen also our language skills. We are really grateful for that.
Thank you. Thank you, Selenita.
Okay.
Thank you, Ralph. Maybe, please, just a second, dear Sully.
No
Ralph,
problem, go ahead.
¿Cómo no agradecerte a nombre de todos los maestros que en este momento están conectados? Ya están, creo que son más de 450 o 500 maestros conectados de diferentes partes del país, de diferentes países. Gracias primero por aceptar la invitación de la comunidad English Teachers in Perú. Muchísimas gracias por compartir todas estas oportunidades de capacitación. Yo te comento un poquito, Ralph, perdóname, Sully, que te lo haya robado solo un segundito. Te comento que muchas veces nosotros, los maestros, buscamos capacitaciones, buscamos recursos y no sabemos en realidad dónde encontrarlos. Pensamos pues de repente en buscando en Google, navegando, pero realmente desconocemos muchos de nosotros o varios maestros seguramente toda la cantidad de recursos que tiene el British Council en sus diferentes páginas, todas las oportunidades de capacitación completamente gratuitas como New Ways of Teaching y certificadas además que tienen para todos los maestros, realmente esperando que todos aprovechen esta oportunidad. De repente, querido Ralph, si podrías compartir el año pasado la experiencia de New Ways of Teaching. Yo sé que lo has hecho durante toda la explicación que nos has dado sobre las oportunidades del British Council, pero quisiera que de repente puedas decirles a los maestros qué es lo que se llevan más allá de una constancia de participación gratuita por el British Council. ¿Qué es lo que se llevan de poder participar en estos programas que propone el British Council, Ralph?
Sí, bueno, como les explicaba hace un momento, yo creo que lo más valioso que se llevan es el conocimiento con todas las herramientas que necesitan para hacer cascadas con sus compañeros de trabajo, con sus comunidades de aprendizaje. Realmente eso es lo mejor. Es decir, nosotros les damos no solamente la capacitación continua, sino que les dejamos las grabaciones, los handouts, les dejamos los lesson plans, les dejamos todo para que ustedes implementen esto, ya sea con sus compañeros o como por ejemplo los recursos que tenemos en Teaching English, con sus estudiantes, ¿no? O sea, todo está listo para usar. Si ustedes van a Teaching English, ustedes van a encontrar buscadores para encontrar recursos por temas. O sea, ustedes pueden buscar un recurso por tema, pueden buscar un recurso por área de enseñanza, pueden buscar recursos por áreas gramaticales, etcétera. Y se van a dar cuenta que ahí tienen no solamente la explicación por escrito, sino que también en muchos casos tienen un video que acompaña esa explicación, tienen audios, tienen recursos descargables, ¿no? Tienen incluso en muchos casos la lección ya prescrita, o sea, tienen toda la lección, la cual ustedes pueden adaptar a su contexto, pero tienen todo el lesson plan ya desarrollado, ¿no? Para utilizar ese recurso. Algo que no mencioné y que también es importante es que paralelamente a Teaching English tienen Learn English. Learn English es el website para los alumnos, para los estudiantes. Es decir, ustedes si trabajan en clase con alumnos que necesitan, por ejemplo, reforzar algún punto o expandir algún punto, Ingresen a learningenglish.britishcouncil.org, que es el website de práctica. Ahí también van a encontrar, ¿no? Practice speaking, practice listening, practice grammar, practice vocabulary. Y ustedes pueden ingresar y todos los ejercicios que se dan, todos los recursos están graduados de acuerdo al Marco Común Europeo de Lenguas Extranjeras, o también se les dice si son para niños, si son recursos para ejercicios para niños, ejercicios para teens, tienen Learn English Teens, tienen Learn English Kids, tienen, por ejemplo, en el caso de Learn English Kids, para quienes trabajan con niños, tienen los pósters, las fichas de trabajo, las plantillas para hacer los daditos, tienen las plantillas para hacer las marionetas, todo eso está ahí, ¿sí? Para los que enseñan teens también tienen discusiones súper interesantes sobre temas relevantes que pueden incorporar en clase y están, como les digo, con su lesson plan, con los videos que acompañan, etc. Y en Learn English tienen ejercicios también interactivos, ¿no? Algunos de ustedes, por ejemplo, pueden utilizar esos videos tal como están ahí, ¿no? De manera interactiva, proyectándolos en la pizarra, por ejemplo. Pero si no tienen esa tecnología, también pueden adaptar ese tipo de contenido a sus clases, ¿no? Y sabemos que los profesores lo hacen. Entonces, o sea, no solo, como os decía, no solamente se llevan, cuando ustedes entran a New Ways of Teaching, ustedes no solamente se llevan ese conocimiento, sino que se llevan todo lo que acompaña el conocimiento para hacerlo efectivo en clase. Para ejecutarlo en clase, utilizarlo con sus compañeros de trabajo o con sus alumnos. Como les decía, para hacer una cascada o para usarlo con sus alumnos directamente. Incluso, les digo que hay recursos para trabajar con los padres de familia, sobre todo en el nivel de kids, en el nivel de niños, Learn English Kids, tienen varios recursos que son para utilizar con padres de familia, es decir, cómo los padres de familia pueden entender o comprender y ayudar a sus hijos a hacer el curso de inglés más llevadero, ¿no? Obviamente, todos los recursos están en inglés y van a necesitar de repente algún tipo de adaptación en el lenguaje, que fácilmente lo pueden hacer ahora con las herramientas que tienen en línea, entonces tipo Google Translate, etcétera, que les facilita un montón el trabajo, ¿no? Pero sí, o sea, se llevan bastante, ¿no? Y para eso hay que estar en constante contacto, como les decía. Si ustedes entran a New Ways of Teaching, denle clic a registrarse en el newsletter, register for the newsletter, ustedes ingresan sus datos y la información les va a llegar, la información va a llegar a ustedes, ¿sí? O yo también, en el caso de Perú, yo cada mes tengo un boletín, ¿no? Donde condenso un poco la información de aquí, de allá, de por allá, ¿no? Y la pongo en español y la remito a toda la base de datos del British Council, de profesores del British Council que tenemos, ¿no? Por eso es importante estar siempre en contacto, de registrar sus datos para que también la información les llegue a ustedes. En lugar de que ustedes estén buscando, que les toma tiempo, la información llega, ¿no? Entonces también eso se llevan con ustedes, ¿no? Maneras en las que ustedes se enganchan a esta comunidad global de estudiantes.
Muchísimas gracias, Ralph. Están agradeciendo ahí en el chat todos. Te leo un poquito los mensajes. Están diciendo, thanks a lot for the information. Thanks, Ralph. Amazing. An email contact, Mr. Ralph, says Elena Castillo. Thank you for sharing. Great. Lo máximo. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. Excellent. Clap, clap, clap. Y entre muchos más están realmente, como te decía Ralph, de repente te he vuelto a hacer la pregunta porque es importante realmente que sepan que tenemos recursos como estos y que tenemos una organización como el British Council que nos da tanto y completamente gratuito para nosotros que realmente lo necesitamos tanto en este contexto que estamos viviendo y ahora que retornamos a clases, hemos dejado los links de Teaching English, de Learning English y de New Ways of Teaching ahí fijados en el chat de YouTube, maestros, para que puedan acceder directamente y como ya Ralph les ha mencionado, para que se puedan registrar, para que les llegue el boletín mensual con todas las novedades que tienen para ustedes. Querido Ralph, una vez más, a nombre de todos los maestros, muchísimas gracias por la presentación del día de hoy y muchísimas gracias por toda la gestión que siempre haces en bien de todos los maestros del Perú. Muchísimas gracias.
Muchas gracias a ustedes por la invitación. Ha sido un placer estar aquí.
Listo, Zuli. Te regreso a Ralph ahora sí.
Thank you, Miss Mariela. Thank you, Ralph, again. And thanks to the British Council in Peru. Now it's time to know our second guest speaker. Angelita, are you there? Could you please introduce him?
Yes, here I am. Thank you so much, Sully. Thank you so much, Ralph, for everything that you have presented to us and for sharing these amazing resources for us. And now it is my pleasure to present over here. I'm going to change this. Let's see, give me a second because here. It is my pleasure to present Mr. Graham Stanley. He is the British Council English for Education Systems Lead for the Americas, based in Mexico City. He has a master's degree in ELT and educational technology and won awards for his first 2 handbooks for teachers, Digital Play, Computer Games and Language Aims, that published in 2011, won an ELT Innovation Award, ELTON, and Language Learning with Technology, CUP 2013, was awarded the English-Speaking Union, His Royal Highness Duke of Edinburgh ELT Book of the Year Award. His last book was Remote Teaching. Mr. Graham Stanley, welcome and thank you so much for being here. The audience is all yours.
Thank you very much, Ankara, and apologies for being late. For some reason, I believed that the time was the same in Mexico as it is in Peru, but that is not the case. So apologies that I'm an hour late. And thank you to Ralph for stepping in.
Thank you so much for being here.
Okay, so let me share my screen. I hope everybody can see that.
Yeah, yes, of course.
Great, thank you. So my topic, following on from Ralph's presentation about new ways of teaching and teacher development opportunities for teachers in Peru, I'm going to talk a little bit about what you can actually do in the classroom and how you can approach using technology and to help your learners. And now I think it's true that teachers have so much access to technology, or many teachers have access to so much technology, it's difficult to know exactly how to use it to support language learning and how to help you teach in the classroom and outside. And so I'll be looking at that today. Now, the first thing I should say is that all of the slides that you see today, you can download from this link here. If you go to slideshare.net/BCG Stanley, you can get this presentation to download, so you don't have to worry about frantically scribbling down links and all of the notes, etc. So you have all of the material that I'm going to talk about. So without further ado, let me move on a little bit. So before you start using technology with learners, I think you need to ask yourself a few questions. Yes, it's important to adopt a principled approach to using technology that puts learning at the forefront. And the teacher should question how and why they want to integrate technology in the classroom. We can call this a principled approach to using educational technology. It doesn't require much to adopt this approach, and I recommend asking yourself a few questions which are displayed here before you start. If you have any more that you think would be good to ask, then please put them in the chat, which I'm keeping an eye on as I go along. And again, I'll be asking, if you have any questions, then you can ask me at the end of this presentation. So why? You shouldn't just use educational technology or edutech because it's there, or because you can, or because you've recently discovered an interesting app or website and are excited about it. I think you really need to ask yourself what the technology is best used for when it comes to language learning and teaching. Does the app or the website lend itself to motivating students to read or speak? Does it help with the learning or practicing of grammar or vocabulary? Most importantly, is the technology the best way of learning or practicing that piece of language that you want the learners to learn or practice? Will it save you time? Will it save them time? Will they be more interested in learning or practicing if you use it? Will they be more motivated if you use this technology than if you use something more traditional? These are all good reasons, I think, for using EdTech. If you think using the technology will take more time, or unsure if the best way for learners, it's the best way for learners to practice, then you should think twice about using it. Is it appropriate for the age group and level you're teaching? Is another question. Is it suitable for young learners or suitable for adults? Does it require technical knowledge for them to use it? Do they have that knowledge? You don't really want to be spending half an hour or more trying to register students to use a tool or a website that you're only planning to use for 15 minutes, for example. Where and when should it be used? Is it something that learners can do at home on their own? Do you really need to do it in the classroom? Is there a good reason for doing it, for using it? Do all the learners have enough devices they can use? Do you have access to the internet sufficient enough for it to work? Do they have mobile phones, computers? Will all learners be doing this at the same time? Will it be distracting? Will it be noisy? If you're recording, then will the finished results be good enough quality if it's a noisy classroom environment and everybody's speaking at the same time, for example? How long are you going to be able to need to use this? Is it worth spending that much time using the technology? And finally, how should it be used? How can you best incorporate the technology into your lesson? Pair work, group work, everyone together with you at the front of the class? Is it an efficient use of your time, of the learner's time? So I think these are all very important questions before you even start using some technology in the classroom. Definitely worth considering. Now, let me move on to some actual practical ideas. And the rest of today's presentation is divided into 4 parts. And I'll leave some time at the end for questions. Although you can write questions in the chat, and hopefully I will see them as I go along if you have anything specific to what I'm talking about. Now, you may have noticed I've structured the workshop by language learning components and not by types of technology. That's because it's what you should have at the forefront of your mind. It's not what can I use this technology website tool for, but how can I use this technology for to support the learning objectives of the language that I'm practicing in the classroom. That should be at the forefront of whatever you're doing. So let's start with speaking. I've got 3 ideas for class that you can use immediately that are quite easy to implement. The first one is spoken journals. This takes around 10 minutes of class time, and it promotes learner autonomy and can be used for all levels. And the idea is to encourage students to keep a spoken dialogue journal. And the technology you need is an internet-enabled computer with a microphone to use from home, or something that students can record on Their phones, for example, would be useful. The procedures, you tell the students that they're going to reflect on their learning by keeping a spoken journal. You choose a website. The one I recommend, and perhaps someone can put the link into the chat, is vocaroo.com. That's VOCAROO.com, vocaroo.com. That is a very simple website to use that will allow students to record a simple audio message that they can then send to you via email. So you can start by handing out some questions you would like them to answer. For example, at the end of a class, you can ask them to do this for homework, to record a little reflection on how the class was. You could ask questions such as, what did you think was useful that we did in class today? What things didn't you find useful? What didn't you like? What did you like? What do you think you need help with? Or any questions you want to ask me? You can tell the students that each of them should record themselves at home and send you this email with a link to the recording, which Vocaroo does perfectly, very easily. And you could also tell the students that this will be a private dialogue between each individual and you. So you can have this additional personalized conversation with each of the students that doesn't actually take you very long. It takes you very little time to listen to very short messages that the students will record. And Vocaroo actually has a limit to the time that they can actually record. So that's important. You can respond in audio as well and give them listening practice if you want. When you receive this audio file, you could listen to the recording, you can reply to it, and I think the focus should be really on the meaning rather than the form. Although there's nothing to stop you taking note of the language that each individual student learner needs to use on, to work on. This doesn't have to be about the student's language learning. The next time you do the activity, you have the students respond to different questions. For example, what did they do at the weekend, etc. It's getting them used to using it to practice the speaking and responding to it. And I would persuade the learners to record their journals on a regular basis, once weekly, for example. It's a good use of time for homework, I think, and it should build their confidence with speaking and create and encourage learner autonomy. Because the students are also able to listen to themselves, they'll usually try to improve their spoken performance, and they'll get used to listening to themselves and seeing how their speaking changes over time. So that's the first idea. The second idea is reading aloud. And as it suggests, I would also get the students to record themselves, and again, they could do it on their mobiles or on something like Vocaroo, reading aloud. You can do this in the classroom if you want, and you can help them with pronunciation. What you could do is get them to take the text that they're reading and to actually mark on the text the lines where the natural pauses are, and you can help them with that. So they get an idea of how you can read something and actually take natural pauses, so you can sound more natural than second language learners usually sound if they're just reading without considering how it sounds. And that can really help. It can also help with the pronunciation of specific words, etc. You can get them to split into groups with one mobile phone and audio recorder on the mobile phone per group if you want, and they can help each other and encourage each other. They can take it in turns, either per sentence or per paragraph to read. And when they finish, they could also play the recordings back and tell you what they thought, and to be able to spot where perhaps their pronunciation or their speaking could be a little bit different, a little bit better. So that's idea number 2 for speaking. And number 3 is talk radio speaking. Now, this takes a little bit longer, 40 to 60 minutes per class, or for several classes, I think, is necessary. It's interactive speaking, can be used for all levels. And you need access to recording devices, a computer in the classroom, for example, or mobiles, and places where the students can go that are perhaps quiet, or at least they take it in turns to record with the other students in the classroom being quiet while they're recording. And the idea is to create a talk radio show, which you can then put together afterwards. You can ask them if they know what one is. It's a radio show based on information rather than music. And you can ask the students to predict what sections the radio program includes. Some suggested sections include news, gossip, interviews, weather, sports, horoscope, politics, but anything the students are interested in, they can add as a section. And each group would be responsible for creating one section. So they would go away and they would write it. They could write content that is a few minutes long. It doesn't have to be very long. They could write it first, practice speaking it, and then recording it. So you're asking students to help each other produce a piece of writing, which they're then speaking, and you can go around and help them with the pronunciation again. And they can rehearse it until they have it good, and then they record it, and then you can put it together as a radio program. Putting it together as a radio program does require a bit of editing, but there is a wonderful program called Audacity, Audacity. If you search on that, you'll find it. It's free and you can download it. And it's a very, very easy to use program, which will allow you to cut and paste and copy, import the students' audio files, and then put it together in one thing. It's very visual, very easy to use. You shouldn't be afraid of using that, but it does require you, if you're going to put it together as an audio program as a radio program, to do that. And then of course they can listen to it, or, and I'll come to this in a minute, you can actually play the recording of the radio program for another class that you have. So you can have a kind of one class produce the speaking, and then another class can listen to it. That takes me on to the listening section. There are 3 activities here. The middle one is exactly what I talked about. It's taking the radio program from the other class and playing it in this new class. And what I'd recommend you do if you do this is to give them a reason for listening. So once you've recorded a talk radio show with a different class, you can tell the learners that another class you teach has recorded this radio show. You can ask them what they know it is. They can predict the sections of the radio program. Then you can tell them in the order that the sections are. And then they create sort of a piece of paper or on their devices, 3 columns, basically the section, and they list out the sections that you've told them: news, gossip, interviews, weather, sports, horoscope, for example. And then the second column would be what they predict people are going to say in that section. So if in the news, for example, is a particular thing, then they might predict that the news is, the person would talk about that, sports, etc. And then what they actually said. So they're going into the listening, predicting what the listening is going to be about, which is always important. It helps you understand better as a listener. And then they're correcting it by either confirming that the person was speaking about those subjects, or that they spoke about something else. That's all they have to do. They don't have to talk about the detail, just the subjects the first time they listen. If you want to play it again so they can listen to it again, then you can go into some of the details and they can try and listen and write down some of the exact information that they heard. But that's up to you. So that is talk radio listening. The first one, guess what I'm talking about, is a 15-minute activity for all levels, and it's listening for gist and inference. And you, as a teacher, would need to record some friends, colleagues, or family. Best, I would suggest other teachers, because English teachers, because they're used to talking in a way that would be a lot more understandable for lower levels. But if you have higher level students, then just record anyone you can who has a good level of English, and use those recordings. What you want to get them to do is to talk briefly. It doesn't have to be very long, a minute or so, about a subject without mentioning what they're talking about, and you record them. So this could be about their job, a hobby, a recent film, a TV show, whatever you want, really. You can give the students the subject, but without the details. So you could say, listen to these 5 people talking about their job, and you tell me what jobs they're talking about. That's how you would introduce it to the students. You play the recordings, you play them a couple of times, let them be able to write the answers down first, and then you compare the notes. And after playing your recording, you can stop and you can ask them to guess what they're talking about. Don't give them the answer at this time, or verify if their answers are right or wrong. Just leave their guesses on the board, and then you can go back and play it again, and then they can correct their answers if there are several different possibilities, for example. So that is Guess What I'm Talking About. Another nice little activity that is really popular with students, especially if you personalize it towards what the students are interested in. For example, it could be people are talking about recent films or TV shows or hobbies they have, or whatever, really, whatever you think would be interesting for your students. And the final one is interview bingo. Now, this one, you would get the learners to tell you the name of a singer, an actor, a celebrity that they like. And again, this is personalizing the content for the learners. So whoever they're interested in, or use someone in the news, and you could take a vote on the most popular one. Then you search for an interview. It would have to be in English, of course. It would have to be someone who you're likely to find an interview in English with when you make the decisions, when you make the choices. And you ask the learners to draw a 4-column by 4-row table. They would then, you could see the title of the interview, or guess what they're talking about, or play the introduction and listen to the first question that the interviewer asks. Then you ask the students, you can do it in pairs, to brainstorm the 8 words that might appear in the interview. So it could be that the singer, for example, is talking about a new album. It might be tour, it might be song, it might be album, it might be streaming, could be anything. They write the 8 words, and then you play the interview. And like bingo, you ask the learners to cross out any of the words on their tables that they hear the person mention. After the first listening, you check to see which student predicted the most words. If none of the students heard all of their words mentioned, you could ask them to change, if they want to change their words for other ones based on what they thought the person said. Then they change their words and you play it again. And of course, the first person to get all 8 words of their words right shouts out bingo, and you check them, and they win the game. It's a really fun activity based on something or people that the students would know and like. Moving on, let's go to reading and writing next. First activity is comparative texts, and this takes about 20 minutes. This one, I think you need to have students that are B1, so upper intermediate or above. You need a kind of computer in the classroom with internet and a projector, if you can do it, or you could adapt it for students to do at home. Now, you choose a text type. So one that I think works really well is horoscopes. So you can start by asking the students if what they think of astrology and horoscopes, and how many of the students think it's they actually read their horoscopes and actually make decisions based on what is said, or they believe in it, and who doesn't. That might be the way in, and it might be quite an interesting discussion. You're likely to have some students who think horoscopes are not valid, and others who do believe in them strongly. So then what you would do is brainstorm some questions or write some questions on the board. For example, do you believe people can predict the future? What do you think of horoscopes? What star sign are you? So you can go around the class and see what sign everyone is. Do you read your horoscope? Has anything in your horoscope ever come true, etc.? Then once you've had that discussion, what you would do is you would then have ready about 3 or 4 or maybe 5 horoscope sites on the internet with today's horoscope. And you would then choose a student and look at their horoscope and maybe choose a student who believes in horoscopes and ask them if that has happened to them or if they think it will happen, whatever the horoscope says for that student. Excuse me, for that student's star sign. Then what you do is you go to the next site and look at the site's horoscope for the day, and you read it again and you think, well, it's different, because it usually will be. How is it different, etc.? And you go to 4 in total and you compare them. And they're usually quite short, so they're quite short text, so you can do that. You can display all 4 of them. If you do it in advance, you could print it out for the students to compare. They could then decide which of the 4 they think is more accurate. And then you continue the discussion afterwards by talking about these same questions again. Have you changed your mind now that you've seen the 4 horoscopes, etc.? It's quite an interesting discussion with horoscopes, but you can do this kind of activity of comparing similar texts with the news or other things, really, depending on what students you have and what you want to do. Next one is reviewer role play. Now, you need a class set of devices for this activity. It takes about 20 minutes. Again, it's good with upper intermediate students and above. What you would do is you tell the students they're going to play the role of reviewers, or you could do it as travel agents, for example, and make recommendations for groups of people. So if the students are playing the role of a travel agent, and you give out some cards, so some typical cards, and I've got these in my notes for in the PowerPoint presentation if you want to use them. So for example, a family of 4 going on holiday for a week. The couple has 2 children, a boy aged 10 and a girl aged 16. The couple are fond of history and architecture. So there are sort of 3 groups in total. I won't go into the details of the other ones. So you tell the students to work in pairs and think of a recommendation for each group. So a holiday you think they would like. And then you go to a website and find them a holiday. So find a flight. If you want to, you could set a budget. So you could set how much money they can't go above. And you would find them a holiday. Find them a couple of examples, get a hotel, maybe find a couple of restaurants if you want to expand on it. Or a package holiday in a particular place in a particular country based on the criteria. The students write down some of the comments and the destinations, etc. And then when they're finished, they could do either they could compare in groups, so you could put them in with another group and they compare their notes, or you could get them to do little presentations of what they decided, and then all of the students could take a vote on which was the best choices at the end to see who were the best travel agents in the class. So that's one, and that's a reviewer role play. And the next one is mobile speed writing. Now, I think this is quite an interesting thing because everyone who has a mobile, and if all your students have a mobile, you can play this, do this activity. All mobile phones now have a notes section, which is actually very useful for writing down things. But a lot of students, I think, a lot of people don't use it. I use it all the time for all sorts of things. I never use a pen and paper now. I just make notes on my mobile whenever I need to write anything down. So what you would do is actually get the students to open up these notepads on their mobiles, and you would give them 15 minutes, and you can ask them to speed write. So what they do is basically they write whatever they can about a particular subject, which you can set for the class together, as much as they can and as quickly as they can about that subject. And then when they're finished, they count the number of words. And then ideally what you would do is get them to send you their text, so they can copy and paste it and send it by email, if that's possible. Or if not, then you could actually get them to peer correct the texts. And the idea is that it's the number of words minus each mistake is -1. So you come up with a number. So perhaps a student might write 150 words, but they make 50 mistakes. So their mark would be 100, etc. And then you do it every class. So you get them used to writing regularly. It's a fun way to get students writing regularly. A lot of the time, teachers find that students don't like writing, that it's kind of laborious, it takes too much time, etc. This is only 15 minutes per class. Sorry, I said 15 minutes. They would write just for 5 minutes, but you have like 5 minutes intro and 5 to 10 minutes afterwards where they're reading, counting, correcting, etc. And the idea is that over time, they should be more fluent at writing. They should be writing more, and they should be writing more accurately. And the people who make lots of mistakes, you then get them to focus on not writing so quickly, but actually writing more accurately, etc. So that's mobile speed writing. Then let's move on to grammar and vocabulary, which is the final section. And I have no idea how much time I have left, so I'm just going to go on, and then we'll come to the questions and answers at the end. So the first of these activities is called Grammar Check. This takes about 20 minutes, and it's all about getting students to notice and correct mistakes of grammar. So one of the things that's really important is this developing, so the students develop this self-awareness about the kind of mistakes they always make. And it's available for all levels as well. You would need one or more computers with word processors and spell checkers. That's why it needs to be a word processor. So again, if you don't have access to that in your school, then you could ask them to do it at home and bring it in. So you would ask the students if they've ever used a spell or grammar checking software on their word processors, or you can have, there are other grammar checking programs on the web. Again, at a push, you could actually get them to do it on their mobiles if they have mobiles. And if they have used the software, then you can ask them if they find it useful, easy to use, etc. The next thing you do is you show the students how to change the language in the word processor if they need to. So they change the language by default. It may well be in Peru that you have students with Spanish as the spell checking default. So they can change it to English, of course, and how to then use these tools. You can give them a brief introduction. Then ask the students to either check some written work that they've previously produced, or to go through some of their writing, or as they're writing, you can get them to do a piece of writing and then spell check it or grammar check it, not as they're going, as they're doing it, but at the end. That's important. I think the idea is that they'll really benefit if they write the writing first and then check it. And they will be able to see which are the kinds of mistakes they make, and they can ask you for help if they want. You could also see how well the grammar or spelling checker actually works, because they're not perfect, but it becomes then a tool that hopefully students will use when they do their writing for you at home, etc. So you're giving them access to something that perhaps maybe some of your students use and some of your students don't. And actually getting to use these tools is a very good idea because they can be very helpful. Now, after 10 minutes or so of them writing or checking them, you can ask the students for feedback again. Do they think it was useful? Is it perfect? It probably isn't, etc. I think it's quite an interesting thing to do and can help students with the accuracy of their writing. Next, digital camera scavenger hunt. Now, this takes about 30 minutes. And it's all about students identifying words, and it's great for revising or recycling vocabulary and can be used for all levels, really. What they need is a camera. And again, there are very few mobile phones that don't have a working camera now. And you need just one per group of 3, or they can all use them if they want. The first thing you would do is you would write a list of vocabulary that can be found in or near the classroom that's suitable for the student's level, and easily the objects or the items are easily accessible. If you're able to take the students outside the classroom, then that's even better, to the other parts of the school. I used to work in Barcelona, for example, for the British Council's in their teaching centre. We had access to a garden. And that was wonderful for this type of activity. But if not, you don't have to worry. It just means that you're a little bit more limited to the objects that you can find. Now, the goal is it's a scavenger hunt. So it's a race for the students to find a number of vocabulary items and take pictures of them. So you set a time limit, 10 minutes or so, and you tell each of them that you'll gain a point for each vocabulary item they take a photograph of. And you also tell them that extra points will be awarded for the best of photographs. So they don't take very blurry, very quickly taken photographs that aren't great. You give the students a vocabulary lists. You can give them the lists on a piece of paper, or you can get them to make the list of words. They could brainstorm the list of words they think they can find in any other classroom beforehand, but they all use the same list, all of the students. Examples, it will obviously depend on your own context and the student's level, but they may include a board, a whiteboard, blinds, a board eraser, a library, books, broom, smoke alarm, a corridor, a hinge, depending on the level, a window frame, a pot plant, the receptionist, the switchboard, whatever you think you can find, and very much aimed at your particular context. So at this stage, you don't explain the meaning of the words they don't understand. So you just put the words on the board. It's more fun to let them guess. Or if they're smart, some of them can ask the meaning of the people they meet. If they're going outside the classroom when they're doing the activity, some of them might use online dictionaries. That's fine. If they want to use tools like that, that's all the more good for them, good for their initiative. You start the activity, you monitor the students, make sure they're safe and don't cause too much disruption, especially if they're young learners, because they can get quite excited by an activity such as this. And if you're teaching them online, then you can obviously use things that you would find in the home as well. You ask them to come back to the classroom and either display the photos, if that's possible for you to do, or they take turns looking at the photos in the camera, or they can hold them up and you can go and check to see whether you have they have right photos, and you can award points for the best photos, for example, on their mobile screens. You give a point for each photograph that a team has taken of a correct object, and deduct a point if they've taken a photo that is incorrect. And you give extra points to the team with the best photograph of each item. So you encourage the students also afterwards to describe the photographs. So if it was a window frame, then they can say where they found it and what kind of window frame it is, what color it is, etc. You know, for example, it was near the stairs, it was next to the door. It's a white frame with a clear glass, depending on the level of the students, of course. If you want to and can, then you can make copies of some of the photographs and create a wall display of them. That will encourage the students because you're using things that they've created. You could label them. You could use them later for, you could mix the labels up and they could practice putting the labels back on, for example, if the vocabulary items that they need practice with. That's the digital camera scavenger hunt. And then finally, the slang, register, and style. Now, this is an advanced activity, so B2 and above probably. And the idea is to focus on register and style of words. They need access to the internet on devices. And you have to be quite careful here because there's a lot of slang that is probably inappropriate for the classroom. So I would limit this to, for example, perhaps the class before, you ask students to give you some suggested songs that they like and in English, and you look at those lyrics and highlight, for example, some of the words that are non-standard, so the slang words in those lyrics. Or you could choose some lyrics that you would like to focus upon, keeping in mind what the students are likely to like. Or it could be just some text, or you could actually just invent some sentences with some slang words you think it would be interesting for your students to know about. Or if you're teaching an exam, an advanced exam, proficiency exam or whatever, then you could actually write, you could get the list of words from the word list, etc. And then what you can do is ask the students to begin with to tell them if they know any English slang words and write them on the board, or any expressions, and you write the most interesting ones up on the board. If they struggle to think of any, then you can pull from the list or the lyrics that you have got, and you can actually, they can look at the lyrics and try and guess the meaning from it. What they would do then is you wouldn't confirm the meanings with them, but you would ask the students to work in groups and to choose some of the words, and then ask them to decide on a definition of each of the words and to think of an alternative way of expressing the slang more formally. So this is the idea of making the connection about what they know already about the expressions, and linking that to the new vocabulary. When the students have finished, you can ask them to share what they think with the rest of the class. You could actually create a class slang dictionary. You could also do some follow-on activities by asking the students to write a story, for example, using as many of the slang words naturally as they can, which can be quite a fun way of making use of that. So those are my quick fire, how many? 12 activities, I think, to use in the classroom. All of them are fully documented in the PowerPoint that you can download from this link. And now I wonder if there are any questions. So I think I can see one from Elva Orcasitas. Which is the best strategy to reinforce listening to our students of public high schools? That is a very broad question, Elva. It doesn't necessarily mean with technology either, I think. But I think it really depends on the level of your high school students. As they get higher level, what you should be doing, I think, is introducing them to as much natural speech for listening as you can. So to try and, one of the great things is that we have access to so much language now. And I would, with high school students, I would tend to say, you need to really understand your students and know them and know what they like, because the best way of motivating students at that age are to use subjects, topics, or people that people who are role models, people that they like, bringing into class something from their world outside of the classroom. So really, that might be musicians, it might be YouTubers, it might be gamers, it might be whatever your students are into. And I think one of the most important things I learned from teaching that age of students is actually know your students very well, talk to them, get to know them, find out what they like, give them a survey at the beginning of the school year and again, so you know what kind of things they like. What do they do in their free time? Do they play games? What games do they play? Do they watch TV? Do they watch movies? Do they, what sports and hobbies do they have? So you could really understand them, and then you use that information to bring in examples for class and things like listening. Well, if there are a couple of musicians, for example, or bands that you can get that are in English, you can get interviews or use them as examples. Viviana Espinosa, what makes writing difficult for students? Again, I think all of the skills are difficult if you don't have experience doing it. So speaking is difficult until you have practice and practice and practice speaking. Listening is difficult until you have lots and lots of practice listening, reading the same, writing the same. And I think one of the things I know that a lot of English teachers do is shy away from doing writing. And that's why the activity that I presented today, the speed writing activity, it kind of demystifies writing. Writing doesn't have to be hard. It's just a question of most people don't do a lot of writing in normal life. Students do because it's necessary. But what kind of writing? Writing doesn't have to be very long. It doesn't have to always be fiction. It doesn't have to always be a report or it can be very short. Getting students just used to doing a little bit of writing every class, so it becomes sort of not a chore and you don't make a big deal of it. And also I think writing is, it's not something that you just do once. The idea of process writing, so the idea of, perhaps the first thing you do if you're going to attempt a piece of writing is you write down some ideas, bullet points, notes in whatever order you want, and nobody's expecting it to be to make much sense. Then you take those notes and you think about a logical order, and then you structure it. And then after structuring it, you might try to turn it into sentences, and then you would try and link those sentences together and put them into paragraphs, and then link the paragraphs together so that the ideas flow, etc. Now that is something you can actually do step by step with students, and it doesn't necessarily have to be boring. And it's one of the things that will really help students get better at writing. So Miguel, Pino, and just interrupt me if I'm going over time. I don't know how much time I've got left. Miguel is asking, my students don't have technology, but they have WhatsApp. What activities do you recommend? Well, a lot of these activities, some of these activities you can do via WhatsApp. If you have them in WhatsApp groups, then what they can do is, if they have mobiles, they can record themselves on their mobile and send you it via WhatsApp. So you just need a little bit of creative thinking to adapt these activities to WhatsApp. I don't see any more questions. Oh, here's one. Mary Elena Quispe Ramirez. What should recommend in our activities as teachers? I'm not sure I understand that. Not sure I exactly understand what you mean, Mary. What should we recommend activities as teachers? Which of these activities? All of them. You should do all of them. Well, you should do the ones that are most interesting for you. This is why I've tried to share a variety of them. Okay. Now, I don't see any more questions. Thank you very much, everybody. I will finish there.
Thank you so much. I think all the teachers are saying thank you, because they are really thankful for all the things that you have taught us. That I think every moment of this presentation was extremely interesting. I think everyone, including me, I was taking notes like crazy, so I can get everything.
You don't have to take the notes. You can download from that link. You'll find in the presentation that I've shared, I got all of my notes. So I was reading from my notes because I can't remember all of these activities in my head. So they're all there. All of the step-by-step instructions for teachers are in my notes in the PowerPoint.
Thank you so much. I'm saying this in the name of all the teachers that are here and the ones that are with us on YouTube. Thank you once again. I know that
Pleasure.
it's quite late where you are right now. So thanks again, really.
Okay, thank you. I've enjoyed it. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. We really enjoyed your presentation. And now it is time to present the next speaker. And I'm going to share this with you over here. And now I'm going to call Miss Mariela to help us to present the next speaker. Miss Mariela, are you there?
Yes, dear Angela. Okay, now it's time to know our last speaker for today's presentation. Remember that today is our last webinar. So teachers, remember that after this presentation, you can have the exit ticket. Please stay with us. The speaker is Leonor Marin, and the topic is the gift and magic of Prelim 2, Partner Remote English Language Improvement. Leonor Marin is an EFL and ESL teacher trainer, research project coordinator on Teachers Wellbeing Program in Peru, and now sharing the Prelim 2 project general coordination in our country. Back Education Associates General Manager, Leo studied education at Instituto Pedagógico Nacional Monterrico, postgraduate on course and syllabus design at St. Mary's University, study skills at Lancaster University, business cultural trainer at International House London, course skills at British Council Peru, co-authored English Express within the Educational National Project, English for Secondary Schools in the Ministry of Education and British Government Agreement. Leo started working at the state schools for about 12 years, applying and implementing the project above mentioned, work at Catholic University Language Institute, Pacific University Language Center, Británico, SAM, San Marcos University, ABB, Amadeus, and in different embassies as a Spanish language teacher as a foreign language. Attending the Hornby Summer School organized by British Council Brazil, IIT Full Peru founder, now past president. Leo is member of IIT Full Equals LATAM Accreditation Association, Latin America and Caribbean TESOL. Welcome, dear Leonor Marin. The audience is all yours. Can you hear me, Leo? Yeah? You can share your screen. I'm going to share the presentation. You can start, dear Leo. Welcome again. Leo, are you there? Or do you have maybe some problem with your internet connection? Okay, wait a second.
Okay, I guess that it should be all right now. Yes.
Yes, of course, Leo. Hello.
Okay, finally. All right. Okay, so I'm going to repeat what I said. I congratulate on Ralph's presentation. Okay, about the very important issues he mentioned. And then I said that the Graham owes me a taco if I go to Mexico Sunday. Very, very interesting activities. And I think that we can put in practice, and we might put one of them into practice today in my presentation. Right, so, okay, I'm going to talk about prelim, and I guess that maybe some of you might, some of the audience might be familiarized with this. Okay, so the first question is, what does it stand for? All right, and I'll go to the next slide because of time. All right, prelim means what? Okay, partnered remote language improvement. All right, so I think that this is something that maybe we were not aware, and we were just concentrated on maybe methodology. However, a question comes to my mind. If we know all the methods, all right, but we don't have the enough language, or as it is called, language proficiency, which is not the same as to have the Cambridge proficiency, but to be able, all right, to speak, and then we cannot actually transmit our students, we cannot engage with our learners. So I think that the importance, and I should say the paramount importance of prelim, is that this course is directed to language improvement, right? And this is an overview what I'm going to be talking about, and I'm not going to read it. All right, could you please have a look, because it's there. Remember, if it's in the slide, you don't read it, because the audience can read it as well. Okay, could you let me know when you finish, please? Oh, okay, you finished. Or, oh, wait. No, that's okay. Yes, all right. Okay, so we can move to the next one. Yes. Okay, and yes, could you please pay attention? Yes, look, all the countries, my goodness. And then Peru. All right, so how did it begin? All right, how did it begin? Well, when you apply, okay, when you apply for a project, because this is a project, actually this is the second year, we have this uncertainty whether we're going to get it or no. So what did we do? And we might continue with the next slide. Yes. All right. So regarding Peru, because we have 40 countries around the world, and we have two associations, all right, who have been getting the prelim course, all right? Pedro Ruiz Gallo University Alumni Association, and the rep is Diana Sempertigue, and this project was applied in Lambayeque and Moyobamba. In Lambayeque, we have 20 teachers, 20 course participants, and in Moyobamba, we have 20 course participants, so 14 total, right? And then we have another association, all right, Neta Peru Tech. But something very important is that the more the merrier. You must remember this, this collocation, the more the merrier. So what did we do? We joined forces, right? So we presented this application with, all right, English teachers in Peru, all right? And you know her founder, Mariela, and then with the Society of Peruvian English Teachers, all right? Arturo Phil is the president. And oh, I should mention that Neta Peru Tech president is Mrs. Rosana Ceballos Treyes. And okay, so yes, and I had this invitation to be the general coordinator, the Prelim Peru general coordinator. And I want to thank as well Julio Valladares, all right, because he helped. In what, you might wonder? Okay, let's see what comes. Oh, okay. The most important thing, all right. So the regions that we chose, all right, that we chose were Puno, okay. Yes, a lot of members from Puno over there. So we had 16 places and 4 places for Lima. And then we have in Piura, we chose Piura, 15 places and 5 for Lima. And then obviously we had for Lima 9 places. Something very important to mention is that there were some requirements that the British Council, all right, from London asked. And it was that the schools must be in rural areas and that they must be state schools, all right? And then there was a selection process that then we're going to talk about, yes? And you're going to know how you were selected, those who are following Prelim 2. And now I'm going to apply something that Graham has left us. He mentioned in all his very, very interesting activities, one of reading aloud. So could you please read aloud what we have in this slide? What is a Prelim 2 project? You have 2 minutes, 1 minute, 1 minute, because you're like this, right? So 1 minute. Remember some keywords, okay? Could you please let me know if you finished? And Angela, could you please let me know if they have finished, if they are?
Yes.
All right, okay, now, could you please go, okay, I can go back, no, you have my PowerPoint. Could you please go back one? Yes, could you go back to the previous slide? Right, okay, now, thank you very much. Could you please text in the chat what you remember, what you have read? What you remember? Maybe you remember numbers, maybe you remember there was a keyword there. Could you please do this? And you have 2 minutes, all right? Could you please write the words you remember from the text you read? And could you please help me, I don't know, maybe Angelita, could you help me reading what they are texting?
Sure.
Thank you.
Let me take a look. Teachers across the world.
Ah, great.
Collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
Confidence.
Yes. Excellent. Who wrote confidence?
Yeah, there are a lot of confident words here. Improve teachers' confidence in the use of English in the classroom.
Very good. I am amazed, absolutely amazed. Yes, and we can also, you know, we're proving that Graham's exercise it works, right? Yes, and actually this project is, it is a big initiative, okay, from the British Council in London, and this is the 2nd year. Last year, it had 20 countries, but this year, all right, Prelim 2 has 40 countries which are participating, and we have Peru and the regions that we have mentioned. Okay, so we can continue now with our presentation. Yes, confidence is the keyword. Right, so once associations were selected, and in this case, this combination of effort together, right? So English Teachers in Peru, Neta Peru Tech, and then Society of English Teachers. So we were given a UK partner. And I think, this is my opinion, that we cannot be happier to have had, well, we still have, because we haven't finished. Yes, we haven't finished yet. We had as a UK partner, Languages United. So could you please text, 1 minute, what comes to your mind when you read Languages United? Simon, could you please write whatever comes to your mind? Whatever. All right, let's see.
Okay,
All right.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes. Delis Cienfuegos says support and confidence. And Elizabeth Carmen Aranda says support association for teachers. And
Right.
David Talavera intercultural.
Excellent.
Lelis
Amazing.
Castañeda culture from us. And Samuel Ernesto support, Beatriz Dueñas cooperation, Eduard Kumpa, when teachers of English join and work together as a team and supporting teachers, an organization which support English teachers, says Victoria Huachani.
There, yeah, excellent. And where is Languages United? Where is Languages United? Yeah. Now you have to text. Is it in London? Is it in, I don't know, Liverpool? You can look closely at the Languages United. Any answer?
Estela says a native of USA. Jacqueline says they are in Bath. Rosa Caro says language teachers in UK.
Right, and the right answer is in Bath. Oh my God. Wait, just a second. I'm going to call the technician. Just a second, because it says that the battery is all right. Yes, it is in Bath. Just a second.
Yeah, and I can read another questions here. David Talavera says language center. Yeah, that's okay. Betsy, Lucila, Sarai, Miguel Tuya says UK. Okay, that's okay. Pedro Beltran says all languages are linked by only one language, English, of course.
Right.
Yeah, there is a nice message. Okay,
yes, right.
all
okay.
of the teachers says that Languages United is in UK, in Bath, and
Excellent,
London. Yeah.
excellent. Oh, here? Lo pongo más, okay. Sorry, yeah, because the battery was about to die, so I called the technician. Fortunately, he's here. Excellent, congratulations. Yes, it is in Bath, so we're going to continue. And then, Mariela, those teachers, they deserve a prize, really, okay? Right, shall we continue with the next slide, please? Oops.
Okay, teachers, please remember that today we have a keyword. The keyword is in the chat, okay? Por si acaso está fijado, ok. Vamos a utilizar, mientras regresa Leito, que ha tenido el problema con la batería, seguro ahorita se vuelve a conectar. Ahí tienen la palabra, está ahí. Collaboration es la palabra y es la que van a utilizar cuando ustedes llenen el exit ticket. ¿Ya? Entonces, por favor, recuerden que el exit ticket va a servir para que ustedes puedan registrar su asistencia el día de hoy. Van a poder registrar su asistencia y dentro de las preguntas que van a venir en su exit ticket van a tener la palabra clave que les va a pedir, que está ahí ya fijada, que es la que van a utilizar para que ustedes puedan obtener un pack especial que el día de hoy tenemos para todos los que nos están acompañando en este webinar, en nuestra última edición, en el cierre de nuestro ciclo de Summer Webinars. Muy felices por tenerlos aquí, estimados teachers. Entonces, ya con esa precisión, esperamos solo unos minutitos. Vamos a concluir entonces con esta presentación y luego de ello compartimos el exit ticket, ¿sí? Un minutito mientras Leito se vuelve a conectar. Pueden ver the keyword en el chat, ¿sí? Leo, can you hear me?
Right.
Yes? Okay, good. You can continue, please.
All right. Okay. So how much we have? Okay. Anyway, right. Okay. Yes. And okay. Oh, wait. Yes. Now. Yes. Now, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So sorry, but these things happen. My good. Okay. Right. So so this is pulling two contact phases, right? Project phases. Okay, so you have already seen what happened in the first phase, okay, which actually phase one. All right, okay. Right, we have this in the phase one. It was a real hard work for us, and because this is what we had to do, we were working closely with the UK partner, with Dan, with Dan actually, only with him. And then we share all our reality, because in order to design a course for our Peruvian teachers and for our regions, because it's not the same to teach in Lambayeque and to teach in Cusco, all right? We know that even though among regions there's a difference, we provide with all the context, with all the reality, and with that information, with those pieces of information, then Languages United structure a course, and then we got together, like, I don't know, Mariela, like 3 times per week. So that was in October and December, and that was the phase one. And then I'm going to continue with the next one. All right. Oh my God, what is this? This is nightmare, right? What is this? Could you please type what that meant to you? No, could you go back? Yes, to Discord. Could you type what this meant to you? Or what do you think this is, all right? Maybe this is a nice monster. Yes. Okay, because of the time, actually, this is the app. This is the application that we use, well, that course participants use. And it was a bit difficult at the beginning, right? Not only for our teachers, but I include myself. So we have to practice and practice. all right? But we learned, and the most important thing, and I always tell my trainees that whenever you leave a class, whenever you leave your class, you must leave something new for your student. Otherwise, there's no essence in teaching, all right? Maybe you can leave a rhyme, maybe you can leave a tongue twister, but you have to make a difference, all right, in your class. And not because of competition, but this is because for your learners, and your learners are going to be motivated, always motivated. Right, yes, I'm going to continue with the next one, yes. Yes, this is our nice Discord. Yeah, yes, I can continue with the next one. What's happened? Hello. Shall I continue with the next one? I'm going to have the exercise. Okay, here it is. Okay, so we have the phase 2, and you can look at the, I don't know if, may I change this? All right, I'm going to put it over here. Yes, oops, what they do? Right. Oh gosh. All right, so can I have then the, all right, so I am contacting with Mariela here. We are multitasking.
I'm here, Leo.
Yes, the thing is, I don't know what happened because I just moved because I wanted everybody to see what classes were like in prelim. So, so I don't know, because you have the PowerPoint, maybe you can just go back to the,
yeah. We're showing the PowerPoint now.
yeah, but
you can see the PowerPoint?
Not really. It's just like very, very small, tiny, tiny, tiny. Yes. So, okay.
Yeah, the slide is here. If you.
All right, so maybe you can go back and then.
Okay, please wait.
Yes, yes. All right, okay. All right, so, okay. Yes, I'm not going to change anything. Right, so this is the second phase, and actually is the course delivery. And this took place between January and March, and you can see Simon was one of the teachers, and you can see some participants. Oh, you can see as well Jane, all right, and they are happy. And what happened in this phase? Okay, what were the coordinators, each region coordinator, and what were we doing? Okay, there was a conduct ongoing monitoring and evaluation, all right? We were not evaluating, please, but they were assessing, I should say, rather than evaluating. Something that I want to mention is to congratulate all the course participants from all regions, because they had to start classes, all right? And they still have their prelim lessons, and they had the lessons going to their schools, being in a meeting. So actually my congratulations, you know, they have a great commitment, right? So I'm going to continue. Yes, with, I guess that we have, yes. And this is as well the course delivery that was actually started on January 10th, and it's finished just on Friday, but we haven't finished because we have more things, all right, more things to do. All right, this is the group of Pura, all right, this is the group of Pura. And then, okay, and you can see Simon there and Jane as well, right? And then we will move to phase 3, if I'm not wrong, to the third phase of the prelim course, right? So, yes, we can, right. Now, phase 3, according to what it was scheduled, the reporting should be in April, from April to May, all right, 2022. However, I am really happy to announce that the reporting, the report has already been done, okay? So, well, I should congratulate, Dan. You must be very familiar with Dan. And if you look at the picture of the report, and then that person sitting with many, many things, it was really, really exhausting, absolutely exhausting. Remember, intensifiers, all right? Okay, so we had this phase, and then we're going to continue, all right, to the next, right. Now, could you please read aloud, okay? Because this is something that I was asked to mention in this presentation, like what are we supposed to do? Okay, I'm going to go very briefly. So what role does your association play? First, okay, we apply for participation in the prelim project, okay? Promote the project among the ELT community. So you must remember that when you see all the publicity here in the community, and then in different Facebooks as well, and then we have to select. And let me tell you that there were more than 500 participants. For Lima, we had 168 participants to 10 places, all right? And now, the requirements were, as I already mentioned, they must be in state schools, they must be working in state schools, and they have to be working in rural areas, and the level of English should be not like, for example, not like a C1, all right, but a lower one. And then we had a very nice day because we had a meeting day. So Languages United, our UK partner, and Prelim Peru course participants with all the teachers from Moyobamba, from Lambayeque, from Puno, from Lima, and from Piura. And it was a very nice, I guess that it was a memorable day. Now, what about our I wouldn't call duty, but our doing in this, all right? We were not supposed just to select and then, okay, bye-bye. No, we were encouraging, guiding, and support you, okay, the course participants during the course. So I think that, for example, teachers from Piura must hate me because we have the Wednesday support. And I was like, come on, wake up, all right, to enter the class. And then something very important, extremely important, I should say, is to gather feedback at the end of the course, right? And then, well, we are supposed to organize the closing ceremony, all right? So, I mean, English teachers in Peru, all the three bodies, we have to organize the closing ceremony. And then, well, the end of course report has already been finished. And all right, something that I wanted to comment. Okay, I want to comment the amount of time that course participants had. They were attending 1 hour and a half, all right, 3 times per week. However, that was not the only thing. They had research, they had pieces of homework, all right, but they they behave very well, I should say, right? Okay, so we move to the next. Now, who can apply? Any English Teacher Association, yes? And since IATEFL is one of the sponsors, so IATEFL wishes that eventually we might be IATEFL affiliate, right? IATEFL affiliate, okay? Now I'm going to stop here and I'm going to do something that Graham was suggesting. Could you please type in the chat, and could you try to guess? This is guessing about me. He mentioned this. So here we have, and the question is, all right, which zodiacal sign do you think I am? Which zodiacal sign do you think I am? You have 1 minute to type. I don't know, you can write Leo because my name is Leo. You can write, I don't know, Gemini. Type. You have 1 minute. So you relax a bit as well. And Marila, could you help me? All right.
Yes, of course.
when-
Yeah, Wilber
Right.
says he thinks that you are Leo, as her
Great.
name. Yeah, yes, and Rosa Caro Leo. Elizabeth Carmen says Sagittarius, and Elcida
right.
Espinosa, Géminis, and Carol says Scorpion. Griseli says Tauro, Carmen Géminis, Rosa Capricorn, Carlos Pariachi Piscis, Erika Collantes Virgo, Vanessa Aquario, wow.
Wow,
Okay,
all right.
Yanina says Aries, and Doris Fernandez, Libra. And
Okay, and the winner is, Mariela, the winner is the teacher who texted Scorpio. I'm Scorpio. Yes, I'm a Scorpio. But the good one, not the bad one, all right? Okay, so shall we move on then? Yes, shall we continue with the next slide? It's good, you know, when you see that your students maybe are having like a bit of, oh my God. So what is it like enjoying a prelim course? Now, could you write the names, all right? Could you write the names of what you are seeing in the slide? I'm sure that some of you know one, yes, because you cooked, you prepared. And that was an unforgettable experience, I should say. Simon was cooking as well. And now this has a lot of relation with what Ralph mentioned at the beginning, that in some countries, it is not very common that men are kindergarten teachers. So, I mean, there's no reason why not, right? So, okay, could you please type the name of this recipe? This is about cooking and you did that. Let's see if you remember. Or, I mean, everybody, even if you didn't attend prelim, you can please text what comes to your mind, okay? Do we have any answers, Mariela?
yes, Estela says cookies and singers, and Marlene Quispe says an umbrella, and
Yes.
and Philly Moran says dancing under the rain.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, yes. Rocio Pinco says gender in English education.
Right.
Yeah.
Stunning. Yes, yes. I mean, absolutely brilliant answers. And yeah, yes, okay. They were talking about the weather, you know, the professor, the teachers were talking about the weather, and it was always raining, and these cones, all right, was it is something typical from Scotland, and they taught the course participants how to prepare scones, all right? So it was very lively, right, the course. Oh my God, I remember what we have. So shall we? Yes, shall we continue? Can we please listen to this, Mariela? Because this is also what the course was like.
Yeah, it's a picture, Leo.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It's only a picture.
All right, because I sent the
anything.
anyway, but okay, something that you might remember what he's singing. Maybe any answer over there? All right.
Singing Cupcakes, says Arieta.
All right.
Okay, so he's a singer or announcer? Says
Right,
Diane.
yes. Okay. They are speculating in a very good way. All right. Yes, actually, he was singing the preposition dance, and it's a very nice one. I'm going to send it. It's really a pity that we cannot have the song because it's very catchy, you know. It's pegajosa, and it's very effective when you're teaching prepositions because this is a TPR activity, a total physical response activity. So when you sing with your learners, because remember, you're not supposed just to tell your learners, okay, now you're going to sing. You have to do this, all right? Yes, you have to do that as well. If you tell your students dance, you have to dance as well. You are the one who have to show the sample activity. Right, and then a real pity. Anyway, okay, shall we go to the next slide then? Oh, right, yes, something very important. Yes, and I'm going to tell you, maybe some of you know him, Roy Cross. Okay, and I am very, shall I say proud? Shall I say happy? I'm very, yes, and I'm very proud, I should say, that Prelim, you know, comes from an idea. It comes from the British Council because Roy Cross, he's the principal, well, he's British Council English for Education Systems. And this Prelim project was conceived and funded by him, by Roy Cross. So whenever you remember the wonderful lessons that you share, that you had from Prelim, just remember this name, Roy Cross. And then, okay, yeah, shall we go to the next one? Because all right. You know that when we're teaching, if you do something like it is something expected by students, it's something like it is autonomous. It is something like it's, sorry, not autonomous, but like a robot. So the teachers, the learners know what we're going to present because they have the book. However, we have to surprise them, all right? So in this case, for example, the title of my presentation is the gift and magic of Prelim 2. But I haven't begun with this. I just left it, I have just left it to almost the last part because you're going to listen. Okay, Mariela has some voices from course participants, and we're going to listen to them. Then you come back to me, and all right, yes. Okay, so are you ready? Yes, so we're going to listen to, okay, to these teachers. So Mariela, we're ready to listen to them. They are course participants from the Prelim course in Puno. And okay, let's listen what they think about this international course.
Yeah, yes, sorry, here.
All right.
Wait a second.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Exciting. The prelim course was exciting to me since there was always something new to learn. Each class we didn't only learn about the English language itself, we also learned teaching strategies that definitely will be helpful in our classroom. Also, I need to mention the Jane and Simon, who were our teachers, were understanding and they transmitted their passion for teaching. I'm grateful to have this opportunity with them. I would like to apply everything that I learned in this course, but if I have to mention some of them, one would be the exit ticket, since I want my students to recognize what they learn, and I think this activity would be pretty helpful and interesting for them. And also the Project Zero. Thanks God they taught us how to use this resource, and it will be helpful the rest of the year for sure. Thank you so much.
Hello, I'm Lilia Espinosa Palacios. I had the opportunity to participate in prelim course. For me, this course was wonderful because I improved my English and I learned important strategies and approaches. My classmates and I had the support of our trainers, Mr. Simon and Mrs. Jane, who helped us. Every class was interesting and meaningful because my classmates share ideas and the trainers share their techniques and tips to apply in our classroom. For me, it was very interesting. I would like to continue with this workshop because we learn different strategies that it's important in our class. It's important for our students. Thank you so much, Prelim, for this opportunity to give us to Peruvian teachers. Thank you.
I'm Richard Boyaquispe from Puno, but I work in Yunguyo. The prelim course was strengthening because who participated in this course perceived communicative approach. We put in clear our difficulties in the fourth skill, how to improve grammar, pronunciation, and other strategies to teach actually. When I will come back to my classes, I will apply speaking criteria for Cambridge, breakout room activity, Harvard Project Zero, and the most important, I have to show happiness during my sessions. I must do a fun class. It's not easy, but it's possible. Thanks to the organizers, English teacher in Peru, thanks to my teachers, Jen and Simon, thanks to the British Council. Thank you very much.
The prelim course was excellent because I had the opportunity to know different strategies about the learning. I applied these strategies in my class, like the mindfulness and flip class. I consider they are very important. I feel grateful with the prelim course. Thank you so much.
Great. Prelim course was great. Prelim teachers were great. Prelim coordinators were great too, because they give us a special opportunity to improve our English. For this, our promise as a teacher is be more responsible, is be more patient, is be more ethical in our teaching activities with our students. Now, we're going to include all that knowledge we learned in these 3 months to share the best teaching activities for our students, to be them a special human and giving this special tool that is called English. So, for this reason and for all the things too, only I want to say thank you very much and God bless you for all the team of Prelim. Thank you very much.
Great. Alrighty, yes, and I want to mention what the exit ticket. Oh my God, what happened? I'm still there.
Yes, Leo, we can.
All right. Okay. Yes. No, I just wanted to really to express my agreement when they mentioned the exit ticket and also the promise, please, to apply with the learners and the project zero, which was amazing, stunning, I should say. And something very important is that, the teachers, we have a bigger heart, because we understand our learners. And I was sending a message when classes started in state schools, and I said that we are teachers because all of what we share comes from our heart and also comes from our academic, all right, upbringing. So I'm really happy when they mention about also the smiling. We might have lots of problems, who hasn't, but please, the smile. If you smile, that everything changes in your mind. Yes, I'm not kidding. Even if you're sad, yes, you can have many reasons to be sad, but when you enter the class, now when we have face-to-face lessons, right, smile, and some nerves are going to go to work and to go straight to your brain, and this is going to make you feel happy. So excellent. We have listened to course participants' impressions. Now I asked Dan and Jane to tell us what is their opinion. So now we're going to listen to Dan, and Dan is the general manager, Languages United general manager, and Jane is one of the teachers. All right, so let's listen. Okay, there they are. Okay.
Hello from Languages United in Bath in the UK. We're very pleased to be here today to say hello to everyone and let you know about our experiences with the Prelim 2 project. My name is Dan Bryan. I'm one of the directors of the school, and I am the project manager for the Prelim 2 partnership.
And hello, I'm Jane. I'm one of the 2 teachers who took part in the project.
We've really had a great experience with Prelim 2. We've found that working with our partners, the Teachers Associations in Peru, has been a great experience. They've been very supportive in terms of the course participants, helping the course participants with a course and organising them, organising to make sure there's coordinators for each group. So it's really gone very well, and it's made my job as project manager very easy, really.
Yeah, and it certainly helped our job as the teacher trainers on this course as well. It's been an absolute joy to work alongside the participants in this project. Simon and I have been greeted with such enthusiasm, such motivated students, and just the most incredible willingness and motivation to learn and improve their teaching practice. So it's been a really special experience.
And I think they've had quite a difficult sort of teaching situation over the last, as everyone has with COVID over the last couple of years.
Absolutely. And we have been so inspired that the participants have come through such a challenging time and demonstrated such resilience and such creativity, and that then they want to take all that they've learned from this experience into this course and on into the academic year ahead. So that's been enlightening, humbling, and inspiring.
It sounds like the course participants have really enjoyed the course. We've had some social events as well. Jane, you were involved in baking scones, I think, weren't you?
Oh, yes, we did a bake along in real time from my kitchen to the kitchens of the participants who wanted to join in, where we made the traditional afternoon tea snack of a scone. And it was a wonderful experience.
So it's been really great for both Languages United and I hope for all the course participants and the teachers associations there.
Thank you.
Right. Okay, so how do you feel? All right, how do you feel? They are really satisfied, and they are really something that they mention. The word should be creativity. They found a lot of creativity in course participants from the regions, okay, from all the regions. So I could go back, yes, because it's getting late. I could go back to my presentation. And so just to tell you, thank you very much indeed. And let's go for prelim 3. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Leo, for this amazing presentation. Quiero agradecerte de todo corazón, querida Leonor Marín, por esta presentación. Tal vez no todos los maestros lo sepan, has compartido mucho de un programa que ha fortalecido a maestros de nuestro país que se encuentran en zonas rurales, en zonas remotas. Has coordinado, has sido la coordinadora general y has propuesto este programa gracias también al British Council, a Languages United y a muchas instituciones que han sido partícipes de que se pueda dar esta oportunidad a nuestro país, querida Leo. Agradecerte de corazón esa confianza que tienes y esa motivación hacia todos los maestros peruanos que han tenido esta gran oportunidad de poder fortalecer el manejo del idioma, el conocimiento, estrategias de enseñanza, entre otras cosas. Este año, querida Leo, ha habido la oportunidad de podernos enfocar de repente, como tú ya lo sabes, en algunas regiones, como mencionaste, Lima, Piura, Puno, y seguramente Dios quiera y esperamos también que siga habiendo ese entusiasmo que siempre tienes para seguir liderando y dándonos la oportunidad de que ojalá este año también se pueda participar para que los maestros peruanos puedan tener ese beneficio y ese apoyo de seguir fortaleciéndose con capacitaciones, con apoyos, cursos como este de nivel internacional. De parte de todos los maestros que están aquí en el chat, escribiendo, dándote las gracias, encuentran interesante el programa, esperamos que puedan darse en las demás regiones también más adelante. De todo corazón, querida Leonor, realmente muchísimas gracias. Y gracias también por la confianza que has depositado en la comunidad, en English Teachers in Perú, en mi persona, para poder coordinar el grupo B de la región Puno, maestros de Lima, y quiero agradecer, aprovechando para no ser mezquina con ello, al equipo que ha colaborado conmigo tanto en la selección como en el inicio del programa, a Ángela Salazar, mi querida administradora que está aquí presente, a mi Julisa de la Cruz, a mi Gina Soplopuco, que ha sido parte del team, y felicitar a todas las asociaciones que han estado presentes y que han apostado por este programa, y por supuesto a los maestros que sé que han dado todo su esfuerzo. Y a ti de corazón, Leito linda, por promover este tipo de oportunidades para todos los maestros peruanos. Gracias, mil gracias.
Mariela, para mí es un honor en realidad compartir y propiciar el crecimiento personal y profesional en ese orden, porque si el profesor no es feliz, no tiene un bienestar, no puede enseñar bien. Y estamos, creo, en la búsqueda de que el profesor tenga que el docente tenga el lugar que debe de tener tiene una carga laboral increíble, bueno, no voy a decir increíble, sino terrible, y muy pocos lo saben, ¿no? Cuando hubo en la época de la pandemia, decían no, pero yo he conversado con profesores de que, la enseñanza fue vía WhatsApp, y bueno, en un hogar solamente el papá tenía el teléfono, el celular, y él se lo llevaba porque tenía que trabajar, él trabajaba en un banco. Entonces a la profesora la llamaban a las 11 de la noche, a las 12 de la noche, y me siento muy identificada porque yo estudié y también enseñé en un colegio estatal. Todo lo que se le pueda brindar a los profesores de colegios estatales, todos los esfuerzos van a quedar poco y nos vamos por un prelim 3. Dios mediante.
Muchas gracias, Leito. Gracias, por favor, acompáñanos solo unos minutitos más
para
que podamos cerrar contigo el webinar del día de hoy. Y ahora sí lo tienen en pantalla, queridos maestros, lo vamos a fijar en el chat. Miss Mayra Ríos, por favor, podría compartir con los maestros el link para que registren su asistencia, el exit ticket.
Okay, muy bien, Miss. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to give you the exit ticket, okay? Please pay attention because it will be available for 15 minutes, okay? Bueno, lo voy a decir en español, ¿no? Para que no haya ningún problema a la hora de tipearlo, ¿no? Entonces, con minúsculas, HTTPS, 2 puntos, / CUTT, 2 veces T, punto, L, Y, / y con mayúscula, la E, la T, con minúscula, la I latina, luego otra vez con mayúscula, la P, la C, la L, la O, la S, la I, la N, la G, la W, la E, la B, la I, la N, la A y la R, ¿no? Ok, entonces ese sería el link del exit ticket. Al momento de registrar su exit ticket, no se olviden de colocar la palabra clave, ¿ok? Ok, Miss Mariela. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Rengifo. Ya está fijado, ya tenemos ya el link, ya está fijado también en el chat. Entonces pasamos ya a agradecer a todos, a cerrar con este ciclo de webinars. El día de hoy han sido 12 webinars que se han dado durante toda esta temporada, desde el mes de febrero que iniciamos. Este ha sido un esfuerzo de todo el equipo administrativo de nuestra comunidad English Teachers in Perú, quienes con mucho cariño hemos organizado este ciclo. Obviamente no hubiera sido posible sin la aceptación de excelentes maestros, ponentes, como el día de hoy han estado con nosotros Graham Stanley, Ralph Grayson, nuestra querida Leonor Marín, y acá en pantalla ven todos esos corazones que laten juntos, unidos, para procurar mejorar o poner un granito de arena para seguir fortaleciendo nuestra formación docente y seguir compartiendo y proponiendo eventos como este, iniciativas que lo único que buscan es poder aportar en la educación de nuestro país y que nosotros como maestros podamos trabajar colaborativamente, que podamos apoyarnos, podamos aligerar un poquito la carga pedagógica que tenemos y unamos fuerzas para que finalmente nuestros estudiantes se lleven lo mejor de nosotros. En pantalla, Ángela Salazar, administradora, David Cuadros, Elmer Quispe, Zulamita Chutén, Diana Chafló, Pamela Salazar, Gina Soplopuco, Nefti Fortés, Kurt Vilela, Miriam Córdoba, Verónica Milan, Maite Flores, Mayra Ríos, Yuli Miñones, Daisy Apolinario, Yulisa de la Cruz, Lilia Espinosa, Jessica Carguavilca, Consuelo Cáceda, Ricardo Núñez, Stephanie Wong, José Ortega, y en el corazón siempre queda el recuerdo de nuestra querida Tabita Anaya. Mil gracias a todos. Podemos ya encender todas las camaritas, a todo el equipo administrativo para dar el cierre del webinar del día de hoy. podemos por favor ahí ponernos en pantalla. No sin antes, todos nosotros, por favor, que ya estamos ahí y todos los que me están acompañando, que todavía están ahí en el chat, dar un fuerte aplauso a Miss Leonor Marín por la presentación del programa Prelim, por tan bonita experiencia, por compartir con los docentes esa esperanza de que siempre van a haber espacios que busquen fortalecernos y siempre van a haber personas de buen corazón, como Miss Marín, organizaciones como el British Council, que siempre están preocupados en darnos esos espacios para que podamos seguir formándonos. Bien, querida Leito, tal vez algún mensaje final para despedirte de la audiencia. Está muteado el micro. Ahora sí.
Sí. Bueno, solamente que sigamos, ¿no? Que sigamos capacitándonos, no solamente por digamos, por conseguir el número de horas, sino capacitándonos porque tenemos una gran responsabilidad. Tenemos a los alumnos y sí, este año vamos a tener, los alumnos no van a venir como antes, definitivamente, entonces tenemos un gran reto y necesitamos mucha fuerza, mucho entendimiento que lo tenemos, pero creo que vamos a necesitar un doble, un triple entendimiento porque vienen después de 2 años y no sabemos que cada situación de los alumnos son diferentes. Entonces, muchas bendiciones para que podamos saber cómo actuar con ellos, para ellos y por ellos. Ok.
Muchas gracias, realmente sabias palabras. De hecho, estamos en un inicio que seguramente va a ser difícil, pero no imposible, ¿no? Uniendo fuerzas creo que lo es. Mucha paciencia, queridos maestros. Decirles que además todo el equipo administrativo hemos unido esfuerzos para armar un pack de recursos que estamos seguros les va a encantar. Y se los vamos a enviar a su correo electrónico, el mismo que han registrado en el exit ticket. Cada administrador ETIP se ha desprendido de algo muy bonito, de un material muy bonito para poderlo compartir con ustedes y entre todo el equipo hemos armado un pack que yo sé que los va a ayudar mucho en sus labores pedagógicas, con mucho cariño para todos ustedes. Es nuestra forma de agradecer que nos hayan seguido durante todas estas semanas, durante los 12 webinars, siempre teniendo su audiencia. Millones de gracias. El día de hoy nos despedimos. Miss Miriam Córdoba, que está por ahí, querida Miss Miriam, Angelita Salazar, administradora de la comunidad, Miss Pamela Salazar, administradora de la comunidad en Facebook, en WhatsApp, Miss Diana Carla Chafloc, nuestra querida Dianita, administradora en WhatsApp, Miss Maite Flores, administradora también en nuestros grupos de WhatsApp, Miss Gina Soplopuco, administradora de nuestro grupo de WhatsApp, Teacher David Cuadros, administradora en los grupos de WhatsApp, Miss Sulamita Chutén, administradora en Facebook y WhatsApp, Miss Zuli, Miss Mayra Rías Rengifo, administradora en WhatsApp, Teacher Elmer Quispe, Miss Lidia Espinosa, y detrás de toda la transmisión durante todas las 12 semanas dándonos el soporte, Mr. José Ortega, administrador de la comunidad. Queremos darles un abrazo grande, los mejores deseos, el mejor inicio y sigamos unidos, sigamos compartiendo, sigamos viviendo en un ambiente de solidaridad que la única forma de seguir adelante es justamente esa. Por eso es que nuestro keyword, ¿cuál era nuestro keyword, teachers, administrators? ¿Cuál era nuestro keyword hoy día?
Collaboration.
Exactamente, es lo que debe estar en su exit ticket. Bye bye, teachers.